John Crobe Castle was born in Iowa more than 60 years ago, the son of a leading family in Marion, a small town just up the road from Cedar Rapids. He did well in the local public schools. I was thought of as a little brainy, he says, and was an Eagle Scout at age 13. After graduating from high school, he went on to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he received a bachelor's degree, and the Harvard Business School, where he earned an MBA with high distinction and was a Baker Scholar. Right after graduating from Harvard in 1965, Castle joined Donaldson, Lufkin and Jenrette, then a relatively new securities firm. DLJ attracted him because at the time it was small and entrepreneurial, and soon after joining, he began doing what are now called private equity transactions as CEO of DLJ's Capital Group, which included the Sprout Group. In fact, he was a pioneer in the creation of private equity limited partnerships as investment vehicles for pension funds, institutional investors, and affluent individuals. These partnerships are commonplace now, but at the time, they were an unusual and innovative approach to financing such deals. And during the decade of the 1970s, the Capital Group was one of the most important contributors to DLJ's profits. John Castle became president and CEO of Donaldson, Lufkin and Jenrette in 1979. From then until he left the firm in 1986 to found Castle Harlan, he led a remarkable turnaround. Profits were up every quarter from the previous year's level for 28 consecutive quarters, and the firm's stock rose from around $3 a share to $30 a share. And under his leadership, DLJ's earnings were up by a factor of 30, from $3 million to $100 million. Castle left DLJ in 1986 to return to his first love, merchant banking, and soon afterward founded Castle Harlan Incorporated, a private equity investment firm. Over the ensuing 21 years, Castle Harlan has been at the top of the heap among middle-market private equity firms. Since its founding, Castle Harlan has invested in 49 companies with an enterprise value of more than $9 billion. Its current portfolio companies employ more than 42,000 people. Over the past 16 years, Castle Harlan funds have produced gross returns of 30%. Like his experience at DLJ, John Castle led a similar turnaround at the New York Medical College in Valhalla, New York, where he was on the board of trustees for 22 years, including 11 years as chairman. While he was chairman, the school's endowment rose from $2.5 million to $60 million, and an institution that once seemed on its last legs is now thriving. Castle continues to maintain a strong interest in medicine. He sits on the board of the New York Presbyterian Hospital and is a fellow of the New York Academy of Medicine. He also is an emeritus director of the United Hospital Fund of New York and served for 13 years on the board of the Whitehead Institute for Biomedical Research. In addition, he has published a number of books related to family health, including America's Top Doctors and New York's Top Doctors. When he's not in the office, John Castle is a world traveler and adventurer. He has trekked to the base of Mount Everest in Nepal, and he has landed in a small plane at both the North and South Poles. With him aboard for much of the voyage, Castle's sailboat, the Marianne, a 42-foot yawl, sailed around the world, leaving from South Florida and heading west through the Panama Canal and across the Pacific Ocean. Another important sidelight in John Castle's life is his love of horses. He has owned and raced a number of thoroughbreds, and he is an accomplished rider and jumper himself. He and his wife also made a significant contribution to the creation of the Laminitis Institute at the School of Veterinary Medicine of the University of Pennsylvania for the treatment of hoof diseases in horses. Last week in San Diego, the Castles received the George Stubbs Award from the American Association of Equine Practitioners for their support of horse medicine. John and Mary Ann live in a duplex penthouse apartment in Manhattan and a seaside estate in Palm Beach, Florida. Their Florida home was once owned by the Kennedy family and was known as the Winter White House when John F. Kennedy was president.
When you first asked me to say a few words about John Castle, my response was, "Have you got an hour?" John came to DLJ right out of school, right out of Harvard Business School. We were lucky to get him. He was in hot demand at the time. He was instrumental in developing what then was the beginning of venture capital and the syndication of venture capital in something called the Sprout Funds. It was the beginning then of the limited general partnership, the LBO limited general partnership. John was very instrumental in changing the format of how you would operate as really sort of a private partnership into a public corporation. In 1979, when John took over DLJ as CEO, there wasn't a single quarter during his tenure that was down from the previous quarter. And done soundly, not with mirrors, not with accounting, not with leverage, done sound operating earnings. John was terrific. Terrific in terms of the way he ran the business, terrific the way he developed the business, the strategy for the business. I'm very, very proud to be a partner of John's in Castle Harlan. More important, I'm very, very proud to be a lifelong friend, admirer and lifelong friend of John Castle.